Yeah, we back, baby, with the reacting to true stories scary animations. I hope you guys are ready, but real quick, we got a special announcement. I'm gonna start doing something a little bit different. Gotta get that out of here. Starting today, I will be posting a new video every day. Yeah, so I'm back to posting daily, but each day is gonna be a different type of video. So I'll be posting videos every day at 3 p.m. Pacific. So today and every Sunday, we're gonna be doing super scary Sundays. It'll be us watching some true story scary animations together. And then every Monday is gonna be Murder Mystery Mondays, where we look at and talk about conspiracies and mysteries. Turnt Tuesdays. Turnt Tuesdays is gonna be me making some funny skits for you guys. Wanna Win Wednesdays. This is where we get to do some gaming. Thursdays, we got Anything Thursdays, where it's literally anything you guys want me to do. Freaking Funny Fridays, where we're gonna bring back the funniest kid test answers. Simply Solving Saturdays, where we get to solve some messed up riddles and answer some questions together. Super excited to be posting every day again, so make sure you tell everybody, let everybody know that it's going down daily. But yes, today, Super Scary Sundays. Let me get back to the chair and let's do this. Woo! Yeah, so I hope you guys are excited, but for now, I think it's time, baby. Let's get into the Super Scary Sundays. Here we go! School lockdown horror stories.
I don't know if any of you guys remember a few years ago when a sort of killer clown craze shook America for a few months.
Yes.
Well, this all happened during that time. I always remembered me and my friends thought it was funny, and we'd always watch those clown caught on camera videos that were really popular at lunch.
Black man.
Although, our laughter turned into fear when we were made aware that a few of those clowns on Twitter threatened to come to our school at 11 a.m. that day and quote-unquote kill all of us. Luckily, the school picked up on this, and they sent out emails to the parents that they had scheduled a planned lockdown at 10:30 that day in response to the threats.
Or just cancel school.
I was sitting in history class when I heard the familiar sound of the lockdown alarm, followed by the teacher rushing to the windows and door, locking and closing them. Even though initially the threat freaked me out, I wasn't worried at this point. I reasoned that it was most likely just another blank threat online, and that nothing would happen. After about 40 minutes of silence, sitting on the cold floor in the corner of the room, the emergency green flashing light turned off, then followed by the air conditioning slowly falling silent, and then the hallway lights switched off. The school had cut the power, but why though? At this point, me and my classmates were staring at each other. We all knew that something real was going on, as the school never cut off the power unless something serious was happening. After 10 minutes or so, we could all hear a faint banging noise from down the corridor, shortly followed by heavy and fast footsteps. Someone was running down the hallway. They started banging on the lockers and screaming. At this point, a few girls started quietly crying. Just then, the most terrifying thing ever happened. One of the men, dressed as a clown, ran up to the class door, banging and screaming. Multiple people were crying now, and one of my friends whispered to me in complete seriousness, saying we were all gonna die. I have no shame in admitting that this caused me to start crying too.
Jeez.
I then heard the loud sound of glass shattering. The man had shattered the glass part of the door, and I could see his arm reaching through to try to unlock the door from the inside. I was frozen and in complete disbelief as to what I was witnessing. But luckily, my teacher reacted quickly, grabbing a piece of shattered glass from the ground and stabbing the man's arm before he could unlock the door. I instantly grabbed his arm back, and you could hear his screams of pain. He then quickly stepped away from the door, and his screams slowly faded down the corridor. After another 2 hours, the principal came on the loudspeaker, explaining everything. He said that just after 11, 2 men walked into the school, one holding a kitchen knife. They ran around the school, threatening to kill students and trying to break into classrooms.
Jeez.
But once the police raided the school, only one of them was caught, and it wasn't the one who tried to break into our classroom. After the whole event, the school got over 20 buses to take the younger kids home, and the kids 9th grade and over, like me, were told to walk home in groups and call the cops if we saw anything suspicious. I had a hard week at school after that experience. I was always thinking that the men would return, this time with a gun or something, but nothing happened. This, nonetheless, will be scarred into my mind forever. Ever since the lockdown, the school has hired a few more on-campus police officers, and they've installed some auto-locking features on doors and windows. This has made me feel a little bit better in school, but this isn't just an experience you can simply forget about.
What? Bro, you need to transfer schools. You need to go somewhere. You need to be homeschooled, okay? Like, after that, I'd be like, you know what?
Sorry guys, I'm dropping out, man. I'm gonna go be a YouTuber.
It's one thing if somebody, like, comes on campus, like, trying, you know, to break into your classroom, but if they're dressed as a clown, not today, Satan. That's just scary. Come on, hey, bro, the kids' birthday parties are over there. Yeah, I got him. But yeah, good job to that teacher for stabbing his arm. So yeah, keep it up. Okay, moving on to another one. Let's go.
When I was 20 years old and my brother was 15, our parents were out of town. My brother had some friends over one night. As I walked out of the door to pick up food, I overheard them talking about the supernatural. What I didn't know was one of them had brought over a spirit board.
Oh my gosh.
While I was gone, they decided to call on the spirit.
Dummies.
After a few times of asking for a spirit to appear to them, they got their wish. The lights in the house went out. A low, eerie laugh consumed the whole house, and not one of the 7 could move. They all say they could see a shadow circling the table, but the light from the neighbor's house was dense. All of them knew they should run, yet they couldn't even move a finger. No one could speak, scream, or cry.
Get out of there.
As I pulled into the driveway, the 7 teenagers came running out of the house screaming and crying. They reached me quickly, but as they were running to me, I saw the blinds in the living room pull apart in the middle aggressively.
What?
Before I could process what I had seen, all of them were trying to tell me what had just happened. The front door suddenly slammed, knocking the already torn blind to the floor. Although you think that it would be the end of the story, but it's not. Someone still had to go back in the house, or at least lock the door. The 17s weren't an option, and I was the only adult in sight. I had my brother go with me since this is partly his fault. We walked to the front door slowly, but both of us were breathing hard and I could hear my heart pounding in my ears. As I put my fingers on the handle of the door, I thought about it like ripping off a band-aid. Just do it fast. I slung the door open with one swoop. The smell was unimaginable, and it hit us like a slap in the face. The odor was a mixture of flowers and something rotten. It took us a moment to overcome the horrific smell. Before entering the house, I tried to turn on the lights by the door. The outside light and the hall light turned on right away. I shouldn't have been surprised to see that the house was in shambles. If I hadn't seen the blind rip open, or see the door slam on its own, I would have thought my brother had entertained a wild party.
Yup.
As we entered the house, I began telling the entity in a loud, demanding voice, "Leave this home. You're not welcome here." As I spoke, I walked to where the spirit board was on the floor. When I picked up the board, I said, "This conversation has ended. Goodbye." The front door slammed on its own again.
It's not a phone call.
But the odor was gone. We cleaned up, and honestly, we never told my parents.
Bro, it's time to move, man. You better move to a new house. Move to Afghanistan, okay? There ain't nobody haunting nobody over there. I'm just kidding, it could be anywhere. But that face though, oh my gosh. Yeah, guys, seriously, don't mess with that stuff, okay? Just in case, better to be safe. Okay, on to the final one. Let's do it.
After struggling to find a suitable sleeping position on my bed, I got up annoyedly. My name's Arthur, and I stay in a rented apartment with my roommate, Chase.
Hi, Arthur.
He's 1 year older than me, living in this apartment for the last 5 years. Chase works as a website developer. I've joined a new job and came here looking for an apartment to stay close to work.
Dang.
One afternoon in a Walmart, I came across Chase, who was talking to a cashier about looking for a roommate to earn some extra cash. Quite forcefully, I talked to him and grabbed this ideal opportunity for me. As time went by, Chase and I started to become close friends. We could barge into each other's life, keeping aside all formalities. So, after waking up with an irritated, sleepless mind, I went straight to Chase's room and knocked on his door. "Yo, Chase, you still up?"
Oh no.
After 2-3 knocks, Chase opened the door and came out. "Looks like you couldn't sleep either." Saying this, he sat up on the living room couch and lit up a smoke. I opened the window of the living room to see how the city was still awake. Cars were rushing by, with people walking like nocturnal animals on the dingy sidewalks.
The heck?
A group of homeless people were doing drugs sitting on the corner of a nearby street. We live close to downtown LA, so seeing addicts lying here and there wasn't a shocking scene for us. I was just too tired to sleep, I guess.
Kind of yawn
Wish
was
we could
that?
do something to pass the night. Tomorrow's a Sunday after all. Well, we can't go to a late night movie. There's an old Seagull screen at the outskirts. It features classic horror films. You mean that one with the hotspot of heroin addicts? Whatever, we'll have a few beers anyway, so it doesn't matter. I always liked Chase's subtle sense of humor. I thought it wouldn't be a bad idea. This is the end of the month, and we both have a pocket crunch, so watching a late night show on this single screen won't be too much of a problem.
Y'all are
I
crazy.
agreed with this plan, and we both went to change and head out. At the time, there was going to be no ladies that would come across our path, so I wore an old t-shirt and a pair of black pants. Chase came out with 2 helmets. He has an old motorcycle that still runs like a cheetah. The only issue is sometimes it takes too long to start. Chase keeps on kicking it while cursing this old soul. We locked the main door of our apartment and came upstairs. All the lights of the buildings in our neighborhood were turned off. It wasn't hard to understand that right now, with some group of junkies, if any sane people are awake, that's me and Chase. Standing outside the main gate, I stared at the night sky. Chase went to get his motorcycle out as I waited on the sidewalk. I was lost looking at the stars when a funky smell entered my nostrils.
Uh-oh.
I looked down and saw a creepy-looking old woman standing right next to me, with a sharp, expressionless face and wide, bloodshot eyes.
Oh, heck
Her
no.
terrifying gaze made me numb for a while. I somehow controlled myself and said, "What? What do you want?" Instead of replying, she took out her empty, frail, bony hand and stretched it towards me. As her filthy hand dangled in the air like a rusty, almost broken twig from a dying tree, I could see the mud in her fingernails. It took me a moment to realize she was begging. "Yo, Arthur, hop in, man!"
Jeez.
All of a sudden, Chase's voice came like bliss. His voice grabbed me by the neck and pulled me out from a deep gutter, where I was sinking in fear, facing this horrible-looking woman. I immediately took a few steps back and said, "Sorry, I can't help you." I sat on Chase's motorcycle and he kick-started it in one try.
Nice.
As we drove away, the woman just stood there like before and watched me. I was constantly turning back to see if she was following us or not. When she finally went out of my sight, I exhaled a deep breath in relief. Who was that woman? I don't know. Maybe a homeless person? Maybe she wanted to be your girlfriend. Anytime else, I would have laughed at Chase's joke, but this time I didn't say anything. I was just happy that we drove away from her ASAP. It was around 1 a.m. when we reached the movie theater.
Jeez.
The broken board with old-fashioned lights and a small ticket counter stood like a lone wolf. We walked to the counter and Chase asked for 2 tickets for whatever show was going on. The old ticket seller in his late 50s started punching the tickets, and my eyes went to the left corner of the movie theater. Under a shade of a closed shop adjacent to the theater, I could see a human figure standing in the dark.
Not again.
Before I could contemplate on this realization, the person surfaced from the darkness. To my horror, it was the same creepy homeless woman that I'd met in front of our house. The distance between our apartment and this movie theater is about 15 minutes.
What?
There's no way this old woman came from our apartment to this theater by foot, taking the same time we did on a motorcycle. She stood there silently like a statue, and then lifted her filthy hand in the air begging for money.
Just give her money, bro.
Chase,
Just give her $1.
what? Do you see that woman? Yeah, what's wrong with her? It's her. The woman we saw before leaving. Dude, have you lost it? It's probably some other homeless chick. They all look the same after a point, you know? Come on, let's go. Chase didn't believe me, and I had no urge to stand there anymore.
Yep.
Thinking maybe Chase is right, and I'm just overreacting, I followed him inside the theater. Apart from us, there were hardly 3-4 people in the entire
Oh,
hall.
she's gonna be sitting next to
We
you in
sat
the
down and
theater.
started drinking beer. It must have been 20 minutes or so. We were totally into the movie when all of a sudden Chase grabbed my hand. Before I could ask him what it was, he pointed to a row in the middle, lifting his arm. His hand was cold in fear, and his face was pale white. Following his eyes, I realized why. It was her again. She was standing inside the movie theater some rows away, staring directly at us. No matter how old and crappy this place is, there's no way one can get in without buying a ticket.
Dang.
And this homeless woman didn't have any money to buy one. Before I could say anything, Chase got up and said, "Come on, let's go." We exited the movie theater from the opposite door and came out the backside right where we parked the motorcycle.
Bro.
It was a secluded spot with no one around us. Chase got on it and kicked the motorcycle, but it didn't start. He was getting ready to kick it again when we heard a playful chuckle behind us. Turning around, we saw the homeless woman was standing near the back door. And for the first time, an ear-to-ear smile had taken place on her previously expressionless face. Slowly, she started to walk in our direction.
Run!
She was limping in a very disturbing way while giving that ear-to-ear smile that froze every drop of blood in my vein. I mean, around 2 a.m. of the night, and this eerie encounter with this scary-looking woman was enough to traumatize me for life. What the hell? Hurry up, Chase! I'm trying! Ow! Start, you! He was screaming and kicking his motorcycle repeatedly so that it started, but nothing was happening.
Why don't you just run?
The woman was a few steps away from us and she stretched her filthy arm, and it came off from her frail body like a piece of cloth and fell to the ground.
Ew!
The reeking smell of bloody flesh made me vomit right away, and Chase started to panic even more. We would have run away, but something in the back of my mind was telling me we wouldn't be able to go far without the motorcycle.
What?
She laughed like crazy as blood started dripping from the open wound of the severed arm.
Oh my gosh.
Suddenly, creating a loud sound, the motorcycle started, and I hopped in screaming, "Just go!
Go!"
We didn't sleep the entire night after reaching home. Every 10 minutes, Chase and I kept checking the roads from our window, fearing maybe she would be there again. When finally, the sun started rising, and we went to bed like two timid kids who had enough scare for one night. We never saw that woman again, but the story doesn't end there. A few days later, our landlord came to collect the rent when he told us about our next-door neighbor finding an old homeless woman dead on the sidewalk one afternoon. Her body had been decomposing as flies and maggots were crawling on her skin.
Ew.
The cops were called, and they later concluded she was on the sidewalk dead for a whole day, and no one cared to notice.
What?
Her time of death was announced on the 20th afternoon, but Chase and I saw her on the night of the 21st, the same day the cops came to take away her dead body.
Bro. No! Whoo! See, y'all should have stayed in your apartment. You should have made yourself go to sleep, take some NyQuil, take some sleeping pills or something. Guys, don't go to the movies at 1 a.m. Otherwise, you're gonna see this woman. Ugh. Woo! But hope you guys enjoyed those scary animations. If you guys want me to do more, then please smash the like button, and yeah, let's get this video like 5 million views. Or like 1 million, yeah, we'll be alright. But yeah, go ahead, click on the screen and watch another one. Yeah, man.